Hey YouTube, this is Tom at TM Aquatics, and I hope you're all doing great. It's been a couple of weeks since I've uploaded any new content here on the YouTube platform. I've just been terribly busy back here in the fish room, been making a lot of changes, working on a lot of projects, and setting up some new tanks. So I thought in today's video, I'd give you guys an update, show you everything going on here in the fish room, and talk about some pretty big changes that might be taking place here at TM Aquatics. So I hope you stick around, because I don't think you want to miss this one. Alright YouTube, we're going to start out here in the rec room with this 75-gallon tank where I have my group of L494 plecos, and there's one of them hanging out right there. An L494 is also the thumbnail for this video. No changes are going to be made to this tank, but I do want to point out I have been trying to spawn these wild-caught Hemigrammus caeruleus, the pink tetra, the watermelon tetra, the red laser tetra, whatever you want to call it. Have been trying to spawn them back in the fish room for a while. I only ended up with one fry. Not too successful in my efforts, but I also did not have the tank really set up properly for egg scattering fish. I might be making a change back in the fish room that will prove to be a little more successful. We'll talk about that when we get back into the fish room. But right now, that breeding project with these pink tetras is currently on hold. Alright YouTube, over here in the 120-gallon red Severum tank, I am going to make one minor change. The Severums aren't going anywhere. The clown loaches, the plecos in here, they're not going anywhere. But I will be removing the Corydoras. You might be able to see them back underneath that piece of driftwood. I have a couple different types in here. I have some Agassiziis and some Cycries. And they're just not doing well in this tank. They're very intimidated and afraid of the Severums. They rarely come out. And I think it's just time to move them out of here, put them in a different tank to where they can thrive a little bit more. And I think that's just a decision that is going to benefit these Corydoras, and probably a decision that's long overdue. Alright YouTube, so back here in the fish room I have all the new tanks on the newest stand. I did decide to go with 240 breeders on the top instead of a 125. Initially when I picked up this stand I was thinking a 125 for a large breeding group of L134 leopard frog plecos. I want another breeding group in the fish room. But I have another place and another tank that's going to have L134s in, and that's going to involve a pretty drastic change, and we'll talk about that a little further in the video. But having the 240 breeders on the top of this new rack was absolutely the right decision. Down below is another 40 breeder, 2 10s, and a 5-gallon tank. So what's going to be going in all of these tanks? Well, this top left 40 breeder, this is where I'm going to house my group of 14 CW049 Corydoras that I picked up at Cataclysm. Really looking forward to getting that group up here into this tank. And below that tank in the bottom left 40 breeder, this is where I've moved in my group of 8 L260 Queen Arabesque plecos. This tank is work in progress. I'm still debating on substrate, need more rock work, more wood, more caves, and yes, it needs a water change. To the right of that, I have 2 10-gallon tanks and a 5-gallon tank. No plans for these tanks here. They're just here if and when I need them, and for whatever. They might be a quarantine tank, they might be used as grow-out tanks, or they might be set up as breeding tanks, whether that's Corydoras, red coral pencilfish, pink tetras, whatever. It's just nice having the extra tanks and the versatility back here in the fish room. And finally, this top right 40 breeder, there's short-term plans and there's long-term plans for this tank. Short-term, I'm going to be removing all of the blue-eyed lemon and citrus out of my exotic pleco tanks. They'll all be moved into this tank here. I have like maybe 5 or 6 males and 6 or 7 females. I don't need that many. I'll hold on to 1 or 2 pair of the blue-eyed lemons and then get rid of the rest. I'll also be moving in the Corydoras out of the red Severum tank and placing into this tank until I can rehome or figure out a different plan for those Corydoras. Long term, I'm thinking 2 options for this tank. Option A, and which is likely going to happen, I'd be picking up a bucket list Corydoras, the Corydoras equus, and putting a group of Corydoras equus in this tank. The second option would be to take the 8 new L236s currently up in that grow out tank. I picked them up at Cataclysm. The 236s are going to need their own tank eventually, and I'm thinking I might move them into this tank here. But what's more than likely going to end up happening are I'm going to pick up Corydoras Equus and put Corydoras Equus in this tank, leaving the 236s only one place to go, and this is a big change. I would replace the L333s in the fish room for the L236s. And here's why. I have 12 L333s, 7 adults, 5 juveniles. Of the adults, 6 confirmed males. That's not a good ratio. And the 7th, I don't even know if it's a female or not yet. So, that's not a good ratio, a ratio I don't want to work with, and a ratio that I don't want to have occupying the limited space back here in my fish room. I have 5 juveniles. I can wait and hope and cross my fingers that there's a bunch of females in there, but the L333s and the 236s are very similar looking fish, and it's just, in my opinion, the 236s are just a nicer looking fish, and I would rather keep the 236s in this tank and just get rid of the L333s. So, involves a big change. Let me know what you all think. Over here on the fry rack, there are some fish that I'm going to be getting rid of completely from the fish room, starting with the full red albino guppies. It's just time. I don't sell these. I don't work the line. I use these as dither fish. Now they're just here in this 20-gallon occupying space, eating and pooping. It's time for them to go. So we have a club auction coming up on October 19th, I believe. And they will all be in that club auction. It's just time. And then down here, this other 20-gallon, this is where I have my black bar endlers. I did keep some when I changed the 75-gallon around. A few quickly became several hundred, and like the guppies, I don't sell them. They're just here occupying space, eating food, and creating a mess. So the guppies and the endlers will be going away when it's auction time. Now I do want to make a quick plug. I do have some super red bristlenose plecos. I have them listed on the Get Gills website. I do have some Ocelotus gold available on the Get Gills website. And then I did put some of my green laser Corydoras up for sale on the Get Gills website. Sorry for the shameless plug. Oh, one last thing. I do have some blue-eyed ancestris on the Get Gills website as well. Sorry for the shameless plug. Back to the video. So over on this rack, I have a 20 long over a 20 long over a 29, and there's going to be a couple of changes made over here. Now on top, this is a grow out tank where I have my juvenile L46 zebras and my 236s that I picked up at Cataclysm. There's one of the zebras, 236. Another juvenile 236. I'm not going to shine a light in here though. No changes to that tank. Those fish need to just stay in there and keep growing. This middle 20 long, this tank is going to be transformed. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it yet. There's 2 options that I'm thinking about. For starters, all the guppy grass is coming out and being sold at a club auction that we have coming up. Now I'm either going to do one of 2 things. I'm going to strip it down completely and make it another bare bottom grow out tank like this up here. That's actually my first choice. And then the second choice is to simply remove all the guppy grass, the red coral pencil fish, which one did come out. I have 8 of them in there. I'm going to remove them and actually put them down in that 40 breeder over there with my green laser Corydoras and use them as dithers. But remove the guppy grass, remove the red coral pencil fish, and then I have some Cull Neocaridina's in here, and I just leave them in here. But I'm thinking about picking up some blue-eyed royal blue tiger shrimp. It's just one of the shrimp that I've wanted for a while. This tank is perfect for shrimp, and I might just transform this into a royal blue orange-eyed tiger shrimp tank. We'll see. I really haven't made that decision yet. Down here on the bottom, this is where I keep currently the CW49s. They'll be moved into that 40 breeder that I showed you on the new rack. Absolutely gorgeous Corydoras. Looking forward to getting them in their own tank. And then when I was at Cataclysm, the Super Reds bushy nose that I have in here, they spawned. And the male kicked all of the eggs out of the cave. There were a total of 45 eggs that I picked. And only 3 of them didn't hatch, so there should be 42 Super Red bushy nose in here. Most of them are underneath the catappa leaf right now. They're growing, doing well. I don't focus on growing out bushy nose in this fish room, but I don't mind growing out, you know, a couple of batches here and there. I turn them in or trade at my LFS for some store credit, and then turn around and get some fish food with that to help offset the costs of the fish room. Alright YouTube, over here is my double 75 rack, and this top tank here might be going through a complete change. I would like to use this tank for another group of L134 leopard frog plecos. They are my passion right now. And as you can see, I have a bunch of angelfish in there. I have a bunch of plants in there. It's really not set up to be a pleco tank. It's more of an angelfish show tank or an angelfish display tank. Now, can't deny that these are beautiful fish. They're Philippine blue platinum pearl scale angelfish. I got pretty fortunate when I bought them. I picked up 7. Out of the 7, I ended up with 3 pair. All 3 pair have been proven, meaning they've produced wigglers. They're spawning in this tank constantly. You can see that pair spawned just this last night. But angelfish are not my passion, and I would rather have L134 leopard frog plecos in this tank. Now with that being said, I do have my L264s in here. They're a beautiful pleco. They are my least favorite pleco that I currently have in the fish room, and I'm thinking about getting rid of the group of L264s. Along with the angelfish, tearing down this tank completely. The rainbow fish would probably stay in here and be used as dither fish, but I would like another tank with L134 leopard frog plecos, and I think it only makes sense to use this tank right here. So in addition to getting rid of some fish, moving some fish around, suspending some breeding projects, I do need to come up with some type of way to get more of these tanks on an automatic water change system. That is a huge priority for me back here. With this new rack, I now have 28 tanks, which isn't huge, but it still does take quite a bit of time. But I'd like to get this pleco rack on an automatic water change system. I'd like to come up with some way to at least get these 2 top 40 breeders on an automatic water change system. But here's the challenge that I have here at TM Aquatics. I'm keeping fish that really don't match up well with my tap water. Our tap water is very alkaline, very hard, high TDS, and that just doesn't work when you're breeding wild-caught plecos and Corydoras. They need soft water that's more on the acidic side. Now these 5 grow-out tanks over here do get tap water, but that is because these fish that I keep over in these tanks really don't mind the tap water. But I need to come up with some designs and some ways to get at least these pleco tanks right here. This would be my first priority, getting these 3 tanks on some type of automatic water change system. I think it can be done. Behind this wall I have a bathroom. There's some plumbing and some drains right here. So I would like to come up with some way to tie into those drains that doesn't mess up the home plumbing and stays within code and not a huge code violation. I just got to figure that out. But that's a big priority moving forward, to try and automate this fish room a little bit more, cut down on the amount of time it takes for maintenance, and that way I can enjoy my time just watching and feeding the fish a lot more. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I appreciate everybody watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider it. Hit the like button on your way out. You can post any comments or questions down below. And like always, thanks again for stopping, and until the next one, we'll catch you all later.